Hi, how are you? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about something that I call sticky pad syndrome. Now, for any of you who are home musicians or who have a home recording studio or who have used recording gear and musical gear over the years, you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you're still using old sequencers or old drum machines that you've had laying around for decades and decades. Eventually, you're probably going to run into this issue that I call sticky pad syndrome. When I use this term, basically it refers to various pieces of gear that have touch-sensitive pads on them. And again, this could be a drum machine, a sequencer, a sampler, any host of musical gear. What I've noticed on many occasions is that when a piece of gear gets to a certain age, the pads start to become quite sticky. And exactly what I mean by that is that you often have to hit the pad with extra force in order to have a response or to trigger a sound, or sometimes the pad isn't responsive at all, and no matter how hard you hit it, no matter how repeatedly you hit it, it will not produce a sound. This again is what I call sticky pad syndrome. Now, I bought off of eBay a few years ago, I bought an Alesis MMT8, a very famous hardware sequencer that was produced in the latter part of the 1980s. And I bought it secondhand off of eBay. And when I received it, it seemed to work pretty good, but I did find a few of the pads were sticky. That is, I had to use some extra force on certain buttons to get a response from that button. Now, after doing some research online, I learned that there was a method where you could correct this issue, especially with the Alesis MMT8. And from what I've read, basically you crack it open and you remove the rubber template that has the buttons on it, and on the opposite side of the button, on the inside of the sequencer, are two circular contacts, and they're roughly the size, I would say, of an eraser on the end of a pencil. And basically, from what I read, if you took a hole puncher and some aluminum foil, you could punch out a bunch of little circular pieces of aluminum foil, use contact cement, attach those to the two little contacts on the back of the button, and that would solve your issue. Well, this is exactly what I did. And I apologize that the image that I'm showing you, this is the only image I have of when I did this little operation. I actually did this 4 or 5 years ago, and this is the only photo that I took of this whole procedure, unfortunately. But as you can see, I followed the directions that I read online. I used a hole puncher, I cut out some little circular pieces of aluminum foil, and I glued those, or I used contact cement to attach those to the little contacts on the back of the button, and it definitely seemed to help. I wouldn't say that it corrected it 100%, but it definitely made a notable difference. Now, on this subject, I also have a Boss drum machine that I bought way back in 1992. So this thing is 31 years old. And I've used this drum machine on dozens and dozens, I would actually say hundreds of recordings from the early 90s. And this thing was my workhorse. It worked great. And it still functions, but again, some of the keys are extremely sticky. And again, some of the keys will respond if I put some extra force onto them, but there are some of the pads that are just totally unresponsive, and no matter how hard I push them, they just do not trigger the sound. So I'm hoping to do the same procedure with my Boss drum machine very soon, and I'll definitely be featuring that in an upcoming video. I'm actually thinking that I might do a series of videos related to this whole sticky pad syndrome, because it does seem to be something fairly common. I've certainly encountered it a number of times. Many musicians that I've spoken to have also run into it, and it almost seems to be a given with a lot of older gear. So again, I will definitely be showcasing the operation that I do on my Boss drum machine in the not too distant future. So this is basically my little introductory video to the whole sticky pad syndrome. And certainly, if you would like to learn more about this, if you'd like to follow my adventures dealing with this issue and fixing some of my gear, please subscribe. Again, I hope to do a series of these videos that touch upon this subject. Thank you for watching. Hope you can join us again next time. We'll see you again next time. And please, as always, subscribe to the channel. It really helps my channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. Feel free to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again next time. We'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.